Okay. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome to Spirit Reality, Awaken Aware. And the spirit realm is real. And I love to help people navigate it, and which I do every day. And it's all founded on my own experiences and own learnings led by the Spirit of God in truth and love. And we have question day today. So I hope you got your coffee and love you to ask me questions. Let's explore and learn and grow together. So who's got a question for me today?
Dottie, you know I've always got a question for you.
Yes, and I have the one that you sent me, Leanna.
All right, so I will leave it then, Dottie, because I didn't know if you got my email. So I'll just wait for you for when you're ready.
All right, beautiful.
Thank
and
you.
I love your question. Thank you so much. I love getting questions because we want to be interactive. You know, the spirit realm is interactive. So I'm going to kick off with Leanna's beautiful question. And part of her question was, how powerful is asking for forgiveness? Just by asking for forgiveness of self, can we unbind ourselves from entities and soul ties? Can we forgive ourselves? Sorry, when we forgive ourselves, we become neutral. Does that then allow those around us to begin the healing process also? So I've put some things together to expand on that question, but it is a great question and it's a really important one, simply because the whole universe is, got the frequency and the currency of forgiveness flowing through it. So let's just look at what the word forgiveness means. It is a conscious, intentional decision to let go of feelings of resentment, anger, even vengeance. It could be hurt or disappointment, against someone that has wronged you. And, when we forgive, we are actually cutting so many things in the spirit. So let me explain that to you. It's profoundly beneficial for ourselves. It releases us mentally. It releases us physically. It releases us relationally, but it also releases us spiritually. So it's, we know that part of our journey of stepping into the things with, relationship with God is forgiveness. It's about forgiving where we've fallen short, with, being forgiven by God, where we haven't acknowledged him, where we haven't, incorporated him in our everyday. And this is one of the principles that I teach you, is that it's really important to keep a short list and a clean slate. Part of the process of, acknowledging the day that you've had and seeing if there is anything, if you need to release forgiveness towards someone, whether you need to release forgiveness towards yourself, so that you are keeping a short list. Because it's my experience that people that hold unforgiveness, they become very bitter and very angry people. And their life displays that, simply because what you hold on the inside of you is what you create around you. So if you've got unforgiveness and you're angry and you're resentful, and it becomes bitter, and it becomes so entrenched in, people's beings, that you know, people just refer to them as grumpy old men or grumpy old ladies because they are so bitter, and often their body is riddled with, you know, illnesses and sickness and things like that, it's all because they're holding all this toxic emotion in their body and they're not releasing it from themselves. Now, I've seen some pretty amazing experiences where, you know, people, after years of carrying unforgiveness, then they come to a place where they choose to forgive and they ask for forgiveness and their bodies are healed because that toxic emotion and has got somewhere to go. Now, also realizing that when you hold unforgiveness, you are giving entities and spiritual influence a legal right to attack you, to influence your life. And this is where they come in and they feed your unforgiveness. They feed your anger. They feed your resentment. And this is where, you know, it's again so important that we keep a short list, so to speak. I don't have any lists. I don't hold anything against anybody. Do I have memories of hurt? Absolutely. But they're distant memories. They're not, you know, in my face every day where I feel I'm thinking about it all the time. I'm thinking about that person all the time because they've vexed me so much. I'm so angry with them all the time. I definitely have memories and, you know, memories of disappointment, memories of where there's been injustice, but there's no sting in that memory. Now, this is really important, guys. If you remember someone and it has a sting to it, it has oh yeah, them, there's forgiveness that needs to happen there. Because it's not, oh yeah, that's right. It's not light. There's no love on it. It's still, you know, hurt and trauma. So, you know, for a lot of healing that we need to receive, forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools that God has given us to release our being from, you know, everything. Some of us need to forgive the government. Some of us need, you know, different authorities. Some of us need to forgive teachers or, you know, people in authority that have been unkind and unjust to us. And this is our process of coming out from underneath some of the things that we've had to deal with. But the beautiful thing is it's an intentional decision. You get to choose. Now, I've always referred to holding unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping that someone else dies. It doesn't work like that. That's why it's so important. Please, you know, even after this session, be kind enough to yourself to take time to reflect. Do I have unforgiveness? Am I holding any resentment? Whether it be minute or, you know, huge, so that we keep our beings fresh and untangled from the, you know, the things of this world, that we guard our hearts, which scripture says, guard your hearts. And that's part of guarding your heart, is by making sure that you are in unforgiveness. Now, please, we've seen too much of, you know, things being swept under the carpet you know, with, oh, we'll just forgive them and get over it. That doesn't deal with what you're feeling. You know, it is not excusing and not forgetting or condoning how people have treated you. Okay, that you don't, you know, if you get smacked in the face, you don't run back in to get smacked in the face again. Right? Unless you're a boxer, and I don't understand that sport. So, you know, I just go, why would you do that? I don't understand it. But at the same time, it's a really good analogy. Like if you're in an abusive relationship where you are being beat up, I'm sorry, but you need to get out of there, because that is not God's design and heart for you. And this is where we again have been programmed. Well, you know, God's teaching you a lesson, or you're in trials and tribulations, and you know, you look, God's got you there so that you can learn endurance. That is not God. Absolutely is not God. That is not your heart towards you. And that is not the life that he has asked you to live. So, you know, I'm all for, if things are very toxic and, you know, reconciliation and change does not come on both parts, then you need to really seek the position that you are putting yourself in. Now, when you do release forgiveness, part of Leanna's question was, does that allow other people to have breakthrough as well? Absolutely. Absolutely. So picture it. This is the best way to picture a cord of emotions that you have, that say I have connected to Misha right now, right? Just this invisible cord, and I'm connected to Misha. And, you know, the relationship that we have, we've got, you know, beautiful connection. We've got heart connection. So there's this beautiful, you know, frequency and energy that flows between us. But then if I have a connection with someone else, and on that connection is trauma and anger and angst and anxiety, you know, what's going to give me life? What's going to give you life? Is it the relationship that's giving love, that's giving, you know, encouragement, or is it one that gives trauma? Is it one that gives hurt? So we need to cut that. That's why when we release forgiveness, we're cutting those negative ties, those negative emotions. And that then severs us. It cuts that cord. So even if that person has unforgiveness towards you, it can't affect you, because it's got nothing to travel on, because it's not a two-way street. I'm angry with you, so you're angry with me. It's the same as if I have a loving relationship with you and you have a loving relationship with me. There's love that flows through that. So it's really important that we deal with unresolved emotional traumas and issues. And this is where, too, guys, sometimes it travels down the family line. It's a generational thing. And you're wondering, why does this always happen? Why do I have conflict with a similar type of person? Because there are things in your generational line, your bloodline, that has given it a legal right to keep traveling through. And we need to find the entry point, because, you know, the enemy is always looking for legal ground. And he's looking for legal ground to take you out in the sense of your calling and your purpose and your destiny. And, you know, he's aware of the light that you carry. He's aware of, the God factor that's in your life, and if he thinks you're going to be too influential and you're going to bring destruction and disruption to his plans, this is the enemy, he will do what he can, and he will look down your family line to see where he can have an entry point. That's why it's really important that we clean up our family lines. And it's, we can have huge breakthroughs, but there are always sometimes little things that try to get in. If we stay in unforgiveness, we're letting more of that come in. And regret is wrapped up in unforgiveness. When you regret, you are holding unforgiveness towards yourself. Especially if you stay in it, if you stay in that. And often regret can bring depression and grief. And sometimes we can get into this state of, oh, I wished I should have done that better. I should have done it different. God tried to tell me and I didn't listen. And we stay in that negative. That's not healthy for you. And it won't allow you to learn from it and step into the next, growth that God has for you. So, it's really important that we are quick to forgive. And again, Jesus is our perfect representation. He forgave. He forgave in the midst of his greatest, his greatest victory, but his greatest pain. Because sometimes people don't realize what they're doing to you. And because they're coming from their own hurts and their own traumas. And that's why the quicker we go, we forgive and just see people, from the heart. If I don't understand someone, particularly, the way that they're treating me, I just go, God, show me their heart. Let me see what it is, let me feel what it is to walk in their shoes. And that's when God will show me what's really going on for that person. Because a person's outward behavior is not always the indicator of what's going on the inside of them. So when we take the time to acknowledge and ask God, what's going on for that person? This is where we become the greatest healers. Because we pour love into them, we pour understanding. And we go, what's going on with you at the moment? Like, what, are you okay? And be genuine about it. And they'll go, yeah, I'm okay. You go, well, actually, I don't actually think you are. Like, what's going on for you? And, next minute they're pouring out the stress that they're under and what's going on at home or what's happening for them. And you can heal their heart. You can bring transformation by just being an ear to hear what's going on for them. And you know what it speaks? It speaks that you care. Because you're taking the time to hear their heart. Now, there are some situations that you don't do anything. You just be a listening ear. There are times that you get to speak into people's lives and God will show you a way that they can start to come out from under what they're going through. Now, I want to clarify again, forgiveness is a conscious, intentional decision People need to choose to forgive. It's their choice. And God never goes against our free will. If anyone here is, experiencing someone making you do something that you don't want to do, then you need to reassess that situation. God always gives you free will. Now, I understand there's necessities in life and we have to do some things that we don't want to do, but that's different. Okay, if the Spirit of God is telling you not to do something and someone's trying to make you do something, then go with what the Spirit's telling you every time. I was just speaking to a young lady who works in NDIS, and she's a support worker, and she's like, oh, my spirit told me not to take this client on because she was going to be trouble, but I did anyway. And now she's got this mess because this client was so toxic and causes trouble everywhere she goes. Okay, so, and I just encouraged her, I said, yep, remember to listen to that little voice. And she goes, yep, I definitely will. Now, she learned something from that. So always go with that intuition, that little voice of direction, because God's telling you something. And it's the same as when he tells you, you need to let this go. You need to forgive here. Now, I have dealt with many people with, some pretty deep traumas, and to get them to be set free, they have to release forgiveness. And it's really hard for them. They've sat there going, I just can't. And I'm going, but just look at it this way. You want the breakthrough. You want to be set free. Look at releasing forgiveness towards that person about you, not them. And some of them have, said, I forgive this person through gritted teeth. And that's okay because it was a step. And once they made that step, even through gritted teeth, knowing that God was asking them to forgive, brought incredible breakthrough and transformation. And as they journeyed, it became easier. They had to say it a few times because there was quite a few layers, but it became easier and easier. But the fruit was that person was continually getting set free. Now, the repercussions of that was that it brought transformation and breakthrough to other people's lives. There is a ripple effect. Everything we do and say has a ripple effect. So when we forgive, we're breaking soul ties, negative soul ties. We're breaking spiritual contracts. We're breaking legal ground for the enemy to have access and influence in our life. And we are releasing a healing and a restoration, spirit or energy or frequency, however you want to call it, into the earth, into our families, into relationships. Like, even if you're in the road and you got angry at someone because they cut you off, and then you get home and you still, oh my gosh, I was driving and this person cut me off and it happened half an hour ago, you need to forgive that person. It's those little things that we just think is okay. So, like, oh, well, yeah, they did the wrong thing by me. Just let it go. Let it go so you can stay whole. I think I've covered that question. Was that good, Leanna?
Thanks, Dottie. Amazing.
Awesome. All right. Anyone else got a question? Lisa. Oh, it's a big one.
No, actually,
It's
we have
10
a lot of-
pages.
Yeah. I'm always writing down everything you tell because it's so interesting, right? What we want to know is your free will you got from God, right? But when does it count? Is it already counting from your birth on, or which age could you put this forward? Because I know that a lot of people have been baptized, and actually, if you think about it, it was not a good baptize. So then you have to undo it. And this is the second question onto that, is how do you do it if you have been baptized in a way that actually you think that was not good? So you do this ritual, spiritual, there was a curse, registration. So which records do you have to change or whatever? How is the procedure? Is this something for you, or should I ask this somebody else?
No, see that all comes under the spiritual contracts. So remember, we make spiritual contracts aware and unaware. You know, our parents get us baptized, say, into the Catholic Church or whatever religion, based on fear, because they told, well, if your child isn't baptized and it dies, it's going to hell. Okay. So our parents, out of love for us, and because that's how they've been programmed and taught, they get us baptized. Now, for some of us that have, gone a bit deeper down this, I'll call it a rabbit hole, that you're aware that often these rituals are contracts that are not dedicating you to the one true God. They're actually dedicating you to the other side, okay, or into a church system or religion, rather than into an authentic relationship with God that you can have yourself. So, God is bigger. We need to understand God is bigger than the things that they have done to us, or how they have tried to program us, or even, make spiritual contracts so they can kind of keep us out of God's, good books and all that sort of thing. God is way bigger than that. We need to really, put God back in that place. He is all powerful and all knowing. So if you've done a contract, you just simply need to renounce the contract that was made. Remember the power of your words. They use words to bind us. We can use words to release us. So we just break those contracts. We can renounce all the curses, any entities that were attached to any spiritual contracts that were ungodly. And, I find people they're trying to replace rituals with rituals. Now, I understand that, where the way that we're designed, we often need to see or be part of something to think that it has an effect. Okay, this is why, for those that love their crystals, and they love doing their candles and their sage and all that, I get it. But part of the process for us now is to supersede knowing who we are in the spirit, that we don't need the crystals, or we don't need the sage, or we don't need the rituals. That, my presence, who I carry when I walk into a situation, my light, my love, my connection with God expels anything that is evil or of darkness. And I find it interesting because we've been brought up in religions that make the enemies all powerful, and then we kind of tag God onto the end of it. Oh, God, please help me. God, please help me. When we just need to go, I am the creator, the creation of the creator, and I co-create with him. And all that God is all that I am. So when I walk into a situation, I'm bringing his presence and his power. Now, I don't walk in going, here I am, I'm God's child and I carry the authority. I don't do any of that, because the spirit realm already sees your authority. It already sees the light that you carry. It already sees how big a threat you are, because you know who you are and who God is. So, the journey that we're on is growing more and more into that inner standing of who God is and who I am in God and who God is in me. That's exactly how Jesus walked on the earth. That's when they said, well, who are you? He goes, I am. And they're like, what do you mean, I am? He goes, I am that I am. He knew who God was. He knew who he was in God, and he knew how God would flow through him. So it's our journey is, stepping through the spell that we've been under, we're peeling back the programming, and it can come from when we were a child. It can come through our parents. It can come through culture. It can come through generational things. It's all embedded, and we're breaking that out and coming back to the true blueprint of how God made us. So our journey is anything that contradicts what God says about me is the things that I need to deal with. So this is where the mirror test is really interesting, guys. Stand in front of the mirror. Now, some of you will find it really hard to even look yourself in the eye. And then when you do look yourself in the eye, you will go, oh, far out. Like, well, I can see people smiling because we've all done it. Going, oh, gee, I wish I was a bit prettier. I wish I was a bit thinner. I wish I was a bit taller. I wish I was a bit shorter. I wish I was a bit younger. So instead of looking, and we're wishing, I challenge you this week, stand in front of the mirror and look yourself in the eye and go, God, you did a beautiful thing. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You created me for a purpose and a plan. I have a destiny. I have a purpose. I have significance. And you know why I have all that? Because I have you, God. God, you are the love of my life. It's challenging. And for, I used to look in the mirror and I used to hear this voice that would sound like my mum. You're fat and ugly and you have no worth or value. And every time I used to go to the mirror. Now, I knew that's not how God saw me, but this entity was trying to take back ground where I had had breakthrough. And then one day I heard it as I looked in the mirror. I went, hang on a minute. I went, that's not what God says about me. And I told it to shut up and go. And it's never been back since. See, guys, when you grab hold of the authority that you carry, it dispels everything. It changes your reality because you're consciously, intentionally engaging with the truth of what God says and sees you as. It changes your reality. That's how much power we have. So instead of looking at your situations and going, oh, we're broke again. Oh, we're poor still. We're always poor. We're always broke. We never have enough money. You are agreeing with the enemy. You are agreeing with your circumstances. You are making a spiritual contract where your words will continue the momentum of your circumstances. You will feel like you are on a treadmill. And it just same thing. You know, hang on a minute. Remember Psalm 23 that we did a couple of weeks ago. God is my supplier. He will supply for me. I had a situation last week and I was like, wow, I really need $200. And I just went, God, I need $200. And then the next morning at 8 o'clock, I got a phone call from someone that said, oh, I really feel to put $200 in your bank account. Can I have your bank account, please? I went, oh, thanks, God. It was that simple. And then I turned around and I went, I should have asked for 2 million. I got to up my ante. It's like, Dot, you got to start thinking bigger. But because I don't think like that, then I'm like, I need to work on that one. I need to change that. Now, there's some things that I have been asking God for in the last couple of weeks. I'm going, God, I know you have more for me. And they're all falling in my lap. This is how quickly God is wanting to do things on our behalf. There's an acceleration in the spirit, guys. Things are happening really quickly. Get on board, jump in, let's go. I think I answered that question, Lisa. I think I went on a little tangent, but that's okay. I had fun, so I hope you did. Alexandria. You got a question, darling? Hello? Alexandria?
Yes, just about. Hello? Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, yes. So just a question about asking things. I remember you did say that we can ask angels for things, and I did ask angels for things, and it looks like the thing came to me, but I think it was not really. It was more like my will, not the will of God, and that's where I was a bit confused. That I think it was more self-serving than.
All right.
Would you have an advice for that?
Yep, absolutely. So let me clarify things. Angels are messengers. They are our helpers. Okay. So, let me just clarify this. People will use crystals to go, oh, I've got this crystal that will, reflect negativity. So they hold the crystal to reflect the negativity. Okay. The crystal's not reflecting the negativity. It's, you know, they're using it as a springboard, but they're really tapping, you know, wanting to tap into the things of the spirit. Okay. So angels are there to assist us. I don't actually pray to angels. I don't ask angels to, you know, bring me things. I always go direct to God. Remember, that's who I am. I go direct to the boss. I don't go for middlemen. It's got to be God or nobody, because he's the one that makes the ultimate decisions. Okay, that's how I look at it. And angels are there to assist me. Absolutely. Do I tell them to give me help? Absolutely. Do I ask them for protection? Absolutely. But I'm not asking them, I'm telling them. See, we are made higher than the angels. So they're there to help us. That's why we engage angels for protection, for going into battle, if that's what God leads you to do. Now, God is well capable, even if we are self-serving with what we want, God is capable to navigate us through that. This is where we go back to the conversation that we had about surrendering. Okay, people submit to God, but they still want their will done. When we surrender, we're surrendering to God's will be done. Okay, there are some, you know, there have been times where I felt like God's taken me into the desert, and I've gone, God, why am I in the desert? I don't really like being in the desert. And, you know, I wanted to go somewhere else. And he just said to me, will you trust me? And I go, God, I always trust you. And he took me what I would deem as a desert experience, but it was the most incredible 12 months of my life. The things that I learnt and the experiences that I had in the spirit and the growth that I experienced in my relationship with God still sustains me to this day. So it's a case of, you know, we can do things that are self-serving, but God is bigger. If it's harmful, God will step in if you're open to it. That's why I always am in the practice of being very fluid and, you know, I don't hang on to things tightly. I have beautiful things in my life, but the most important thing in my life is God and my relationship with him and the things of the spirit. So I hang on to things very lightly. And I don't put reliance on other people because other people cannot meet my needs. Only God can meet my need. So, you know, Alexandria, just be kind to yourself. And, you know, you can present things. There's things that I go, God, you know, I would really like this. Or I would really, you know, I really want that. I know there's things that I need at the moment. So I'm like, okay, God, I really need this. And he knows that I need it. So we're partnering together on how that's going to happen. Sometimes he goes, just let it go, Dottie. Just hand it to me. Now, when we hand things to God, we get out of the way, and that's where things happen really quickly. The example of the $200. Now, I went to bed going, God, I really need $200. I didn't lay in bed going, okay, how am I going to get $200? Like, what could I do? Where should I go? How am I going to do this? I just went, God, I need $200. And I just released it. In other words, this is my prayer going like this. Goes up to God. And the next day, 8 o'clock, I get a message. I laughed. I went, that was the easiest $200 I've ever gotten. because I'm trusting God with it. I'm not hanging on to it going, how's he going to do it? How's God going to give me $200? Who is he going? What's he going to do? How's he going to do it? Do I have to sell something? What should I do? That's all anxiety. That is not moving in the spirit, in trust. And this is, again, some of the conversations that we've had, which Misha's helping me to get them back, get some of the recordings up on my YouTube channel, that we've talked about how to move in that in the spirit. All right, hope that answered your questions, girl. Bradley, go for it.
Hi, Dottie.
Hey,
Beautiful, beautiful what you're saying.
thank you.
I was a few words on like spiritual, like I've spoke a little bit about my mom, you know, like generational stuff, and I know people have free will, and we've talked about casting out, and it is they accept stuff back in, fear, whatever it is, you know, it's just the continual
Yep.
process. Just a few words on.
Okay, so God can't go against free will, but we can stand in the gap for them. Now, when I say that, it is the way that the Spirit leads me to pray is saying, okay, God, this is where the person's at. I step away. I've done all that I can do. I step away and I go, God, I pray for that person, that you will bring them to a place where they receive you, where their heart is open. And often it's not, especially family members, it's often not us, you know, the close person in the family. It's someone outside the family that comes along and they receive everything that they've got to say and they have this big breakthrough and you're like, huh? But it's really interesting family dynamics. But you can continually bind the influence that the enemy has on that person. Okay, you can bind that. We have power and authority. So if something is manifesting at you, now don't go, you know, oh, in Jesus' name, I bind you to their face, because that's not going to make a good relationship. Can I tell you that right now? You can, in the spirit, in your heart, just bind the situation. You can speak peace to the situation, speak peace to their hearts if they're tormented, you know, so that they have some peace. They have some respite from what's going on for them. Okay.
Dot, I want to add one thing, because speaking my words I was asking for are specific to my mom. She's up with my brother about 8 hours away, and I don't get to see her as often. So talking about from a distance as well.
There's no distance in the spirit, Bradley.
Yes, I know, but I can't speak words of encouragement like being in the room to her, and
No, but you can send them in the spirit.
certainly.
Okay, so you can bind, you can send encouragement. I mean, I get, you know, sometimes I see Jenny in the spirit, and I know God's telling me she needs some encouragement. I just send it to her. I just go, Jenny, I just encourage your heart right now. I just release God's presence and peace into the situation that you're facing. I release direction and wisdom. Bang. So then a couple of days later, I'm speaking to Jenny, and I said, oh, I was praying you for you that day. She goes, I know, I felt it. I heard it. See, we are all connected. God is everywhere. It's like, you know, sometimes my sisters live, you know, 24 hours away, and all of a sudden my sister will drop into my heart, and I'll go, oh, okay, she's struggling at the moment, and I'll ring her up. I go, sis, how you going? I know how she's going. God's already shown me. And I'm seeing if she'll tell me the truth. And she goes, yeah, I'm okay. I go, no, you're not. And then she'll break down and we'll have a really good God conversation. Sometimes we need to call people to be authentic because we're so used to covering up our circumstances and situations. Because, you know, oh, hi, how are you? Good, thanks. There's no depth. How you been? Yeah, good. Meanwhile, they've got no money to feed the, you know, to buy food to feed the kids, but no one would know. But if you're walking with God, God will tell you. You can be at the cash register and God will tell you, pay for that person's groceries. So you pay their groceries. It's all about, you know, there used to be a slogan, you know, what would Jesus do? You know, people used to wear this band, what would Jesus do? And I would look at them, I go, no, I know darn well what he would do. He would help those that need help. He would love those that need love. He would encourage those that need encouragement. He would heal those that need healing. But we have been so programmed to be powerless that we don't realize that's what we're capable of. You can release healing to your mum, Bradley. You can release healing angels. You can decree and declare that her life is, you know, set free. You can bind the enemy. And this is where you go in the spirit. If you speak in tongues, you will, or light language, whatever you want to call it, it brings change quickly. Sometimes I'll pray for people and I will be in prayer for them for 12 hours. I go into warfare for them. Or I carry them for days in my heart. And I just know, okay, I'm doing things in the spirit for them. I don't always know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. I'm partnering with God because he's asking me to. We can change. You can change your street. You can change your town. You can change your nation when we partner with God. I hope that answers your questions.
It does,
So
Dottie. Thank you.
Beautiful. I think the key is, guys, don't underestimate who you are and the power of God within you and its manifestation, its expression onto the earth. And we'll leave it there for today because we've got another Zoom to go on to. So see you all next week, guys. Again, if you have questions, please feel free to send them to me. And yeah, thanks, Lisa. I'll get that, you know, ebook. And have a great week. Love you lots. Stay strong and remember God loves you.